July 2021, Wisconsin, USA. It is a humid, sticky summer. Imagine you are looking at a computer screen. On it, there is an email. It looks official. The logo is crisp. It is from the Human Resources Department of SpaceX, Elon Musk's company. The email is confirming a massive new job opportunity for a young man named Chandler Halderson. Chandler is 23 years old. To the outside world, he is the definition of the golden child. He is polite, he is handsome, he was an Eagle Scout, he is a college graduate with a bright future in renewable energy technology. He is currently packing his bags to move to Florida for this dream job at SpaceX. His parents, Bart and Krista, are beaming with pride. They are telling the neighbors. They are planning to help him move. They are looking at this young man and seeing their greatest success. But there is a problem, a massive, invisible problem. Take a closer look at that email on the screen. Look at the timestamp. Look at the font. It's fake. The job isn't real. The degree from the college, that isn't real either. The insurance payout he claimed he was waiting for, it doesn't exist. Chandler Halderson isn't a SpaceX genius. He is an unemployed gamer sitting in his parents' basement constructing a fantasy world. He spends his days playing video games and his nights forging documents to show his father. He has built a castle made entirely of lies, and the walls are getting higher and higher. Most liars, when they get caught, they confess, they cry, they apologize, they face the shame. But Chandler is different. Chandler suffers from what psychologists might call a desperate need to avoid narcissistic injury. To him, shame is not an emotion. It is a threat to his survival. The clock is ticking. His father, Bart, is starting to ask questions. Bart is a tough man, an accountant. He understands details. He realizes the numbers don't add up. He calls the college. He calls the places Chandler says he works. Slowly, the father realizes the terrifying truth. My son has been lying to me for years. Bart tells Chandler,
"We are going to a meeting at the college tomorrow.
we are going to sort this out. That meeting is the deadline. It is the moment reality will crash into Chandler's fantasy. Now, fast forward just 48 hours, Bart and Krista Halderson are gone, disappeared. The house is empty. Chandler is telling the police a story. He says they went to a cabin for the weekend. He looks calm. He looks helpful. He even walks around the neighborhood asking neighbors for doorbell camera footage to help find his parents. But here is the detail that will haunt you. Here is the thing that makes this case a nightmare. While Chandler is smiling at the police, while he is playing the role of the worried son, he believes he has committed the perfect crime. He thinks he is smarter than everyone in the room. He thinks he has deleted reality. But he made one mistake, a mistake so simple, so modern, that he didn't even know he was making it. He forgot that in the 21st century, you are never truly alone. He forgot about the silent witness in his pocket. The SpaceX genius was about to be outsmarted by a pedometer. How does a boy go from faking emails to the unthinkable actions against the people who loved him most? And how did a simple app unravel a lie worth millions? Welcome to the mind of a new kind of killer. July 7th. The phone rings at the Dane County Sheriff's Office. It's Chandler. His voice is steady. It is calm. It is almost bored.
My parents went to their cabin for the 4th of July weekend. They haven't come back. I can't reach them.
The police arrive at the Halderson home. It is a nice house in the suburbs. Everything looks normal. There is no sign of violence on the walls. There is no sign of a struggle. But seasoned detectives have a sixth sense. They notice things that don't fit. It is the middle of summer in Wisconsin. It is hot, yet the fireplace looks like it has been used recently. There is a faint smell in the air, not just cleaning products, but something deeper, something metallic. Chandler plays the role of the concerned son perfectly, or so he thinks. Chandler gives the police a specific location, the family cabin in Langlade County. This is his first strategic move. In military terms, this is a diversion. He wants the police looking there, 3 hours away, so they don't look here. in the house. Dozens of officers, volunteers, and drones swarm the cabin. They search the woods. They search the lake. Nothing. The cabin is empty. It hasn't been touched. The parents never arrived. Why? This is the question that baffles normal people. Why kill your parents over a job that doesn't exist? To understand this, we need to look at the psychology of the pathological liar. For you and me, a lie is something uncomfortable. We sweat. We feel guilty. For Chandler, a lie was a tool. It was a brick. He used these bricks to build a wall around himself. Inside that wall, he was the SpaceX genius. He was successful. He was special. Outside that wall, he was a failure. He was a college dropout with no money. When his father, Bart, discovered the truth, he didn't just threaten Chandler with punishment. He threatened to knock down the wall. Psychologists call this a narcissistic injury. To Chandler, the exposure of his lies felt like death. If the lie dies, he dies. In his twisted logic, eliminating the people who knew the truth was the only way to keep the fantasy alive. He wasn't killing his parents. He was killing the witnesses to his failure. In psychology, we talk about narcissistic injury. For Chandler, Bart and Krista weren't people. They were mirrors. As long as they believed his SpaceX lie, he was a genius. But the moment they asked for the truth, the mirror cracked. To a narcissist, a broken mirror doesn't show a flawed person. It shows a void. He didn't eliminate his parents to escape punishment. He eliminated them to delete the only version of himself he couldn't stand to look at, the failure. Back at the house, the detectives are starting to feel that something is wrong with Chandler. It's his face. It's what psychologists call flat affect. Most people, when their parents are missing, are frantic. They cry. They pace around. Chandler just sat there. He played video games and he texted his girlfriend, Kat. Kat is innocent in this. She adored him and also believed in the SpaceX story. She is the perfect mirror for his narcissism. She reflects back the image he wants to see. But then Chandler makes a move that is too clever for his own good. He goes to the neighbors. He asks,
Do your doorbell cameras see the road? Can you check if my parents' car drove by?
He acts like he wants to find them. But the detectives realize something chilling. He isn't looking for his parents. He is doing reconnaissance. He wants to know what the cameras saw. He is checking to see if he was recorded moving the bodies. He thinks he is the director of this movie. He thinks he controls the camera angles. But he forgot that he isn't the only one telling a story here. Science also tells a story, and science never lies. The detectives decide to stop looking at the cabin. They decide to look closer to home. And then a forensic analyst finds something on Chandler's phone. It wasn't a text message. It wasn't a call. It was a screenshot, a simple picture of a map. And that map pointed directly to a grave. Chandler Halderson claimed to be a tech wizard. He claimed to work for the most advanced aerospace company in the world. But he made a mistake that a teenager would find embarrassing. Remember his girlfriend, Kat? She was innocent, but her phone was the key. On the morning of July 8th, detectives interviewed Kat. They treated her kindly. They asked to see her Snapchat history with Chandler. Snapchat is an app where messages disappear. Chandler loved it because he thought it left no trace. But he had taken a screenshot. It was a map location, a spot deep in the woods along the Wisconsin River. It was a property owned by Kat's mother's partner. Chandler had visited there recently to go swimming, he said. Why did he screenshot the map? Maybe to remember the route, maybe to mark a spot. The police didn't wait to ask. They drove there. It is late afternoon. The woods are dense. The mosquitoes are biting. A deputy is walking through the tall grass near an old abandoned shed. He sees something that looks out of place. A pile of sticks. It looks too arranged, too deliberate. He moves a branch and finds a piece of evidence. The remains, they have been severely compromised. Later, DNA testing confirms the worst fears. It is Bart Halderson. The worried son act is over. The police arrest Chandler immediately. But finding the body is only half the battle. They need to prove he did it. They need to prove when and how. This is where the SpaceX genius myth completely falls apart. In the old days, criminals had to worry about fingerprints. Today, criminals have to worry about digital exhaust. Every time you move, your phone creates data. It breathes out information. Chandler thought he was clever. He told police, "I didn't leave the house that day." But the prosecutors had a secret weapon, the Health app. Most iPhones have a built-in pedometer. It counts your steps. It tracks your elevation when you go upstairs or climb a hill. Here is the CSI moment that makes this case fascinating. Chandler's story was, "I was napping and packing boxes." Chandler's cell phone data said, at 3 in the morning, you walked 2.5 kilometers. But it gets better. The police overlaid his phone's GPS data from an app called Life 360 with the step counter. It was a perfect match. The GPS showed him driving to the river. The car stopped. The step counter spiked. He was walking into the woods. The steps stopped exactly where the body was found. The steps started again, walking back to the car. It was a digital footprint of a murder. He wasn't packing boxes. He was disposing of his father. The forensic team went back to the house. Remember the fireplace? The one that smelled strange? They dismantled it. Inside the ash trap, they found tiny fragments, evidence, irrefutable proof. And they found something else, a piece of a saw blade. The saw blade had been broken. It was mixed in with the ash. Think about the psychology here. Chandler took their lives, then methodically concealed the remains in their own home and tried to burn the evidence in the living room fireplace while he played video games. He compartmentalized everything. Box 1, murderer. Box 2, gamer. He kept the boxes separate in his mind, but in the physical world, the boxes were spilling over. The police have the body, they have the digital map, they have the saw blade. Chandler is sitting in an interrogation room. He has stopped talking and has asked for a lawyer. The mask of the golden child has shattered. Underneath, there is no genius. There is only a desperate, dangerous child who refused to grow up. But now comes the hardest part, the trial. Chandler's defense team has a strategy. They are going to say, "You can't prove he killed them. You only found pieces. Maybe he panicked after they died. Maybe it was an accident." It sounds ridiculous, but in the American legal system, the burden of proof is heavy. The prosecution needs to show not just what he did, but the cold, calculated strategy behind it. They are about to enter the courtroom, and Chandler thinks he can still win. January 2022. The trial begins. The courtroom is silent. The air is heavy. Chandler sits at the defense table. He is wearing a suit that looks slightly too big for him. He has a fresh haircut. He looks like an intern or a student. He does not look like the culprit described. This is the defense's first strategy: visual normalcy. They want the jury to look at him and think, he is just a boy. He couldn't do this. The defense attorney has a very difficult job. They have a mountain of evidence against them. So, they choose a risky strategy. They choose the gap. They argue, yes, Chandler is a liar. Yes, he faked the SpaceX job. But being a liar doesn't make you a killer. Where is the murder weapon? Where is the exact moment of death? The state has stories, but do they have proof? It is a clever move. They are trying to separate the liar from the killer. The prosecution, led by a sharp team of attorneys, anticipates this. They know they cannot let the jury separate the lies from the murder. So they decide to flood the courtroom with the fantasy world Chandler created. They don't just talk about the murder, they put the SpaceX emails on the big screen. Imagine being in the jury. You see an email supposedly from a high-ranking SpaceX official. But then, the prosecutor points out the errors. The email address is a Gmail account. The logo is pixelated. The grammar is bad. It looks like something a child made. The courtroom shifts. The genius mask falls off completely. Now Chandler doesn't look like a mastermind. He looks pathetic. He looks delusional. Those fake emails, the pixelated logos, the incorrect grammar. It's almost painful to look at them. And yet, for months, the people who loved him most chose to believe them. It makes us wonder, do we believe lies because they are convincing or because the truth is too heavy to bear? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Who is more dangerous? The son who builds a fantasy or the parents who are too afraid to wake him from it? The prosecution's strategy is psychological. If he lied about the small things with such detail, imagine what he is lying about now. Then comes the knockout blow. The defense tried to argue that Chandler was just a panicked kid who found his parents dead and made bad choices. The prosecution brings out the digital timeline. This is where the case is won. They project a timeline on the wall. Thursday afternoon, Bart discovers the college lie, the confrontation. Thursday evening, Chandler's phone goes dark. Friday morning, Chandler buys a tarp and hydrogen peroxide. The Life 360 data. The blue dots on the map. The jurors watch the screen. They see the blue dot, Chandler, moving. He leaves his house, drives to the river, and stops. And then, the health data. The step counter ticks away, a few steps into the forest, then a few steps back to the car. The prosecutor does not argue. He does not need to. He simply asks the jury to analyze the numbers. He asks,
Is it a coincidence that his phone walked into the woods exactly where his father's remains were found?
There is a moment where the defense tries to fight back. They question the accuracy of the GPS. Could the GPS be off by a few meters? It's a valid question. GPS isn't perfect. But the prosecution is ready. They layer the evidence. Maybe the GPS is off, they admit. But is the GPS off and the step counter wrong? And the saw blade in the fireplace a mistake, and the fake emails a coincidence? They use a technique called the convergence of evidence. One stick breaks easily. A bundle of sticks is unbreakable. Throughout it all, the camera zooms in on Chandler. Does he cry? Does he look nervous? No. He looks bored. He watches the crime scene photos of his parents with the same expression you would have watching a weather report. This lack of emotion is the final nail in his coffin. It screams psychopath louder than any witness could. The jury has seen enough. They retire to deliberate. The SpaceX genius has run out of stories. The trial is ending. It is time for the closing arguments. This is the moment where the attorneys try to tell one final story to the jury. The defense stands up first. They look tired. They have almost nothing to work with. They appeal to emotion. Look at this boy. He has no criminal record. He was an Eagle Scout. How could he snap like this? They ask the jury to find reasonable doubt. They ask the jury to imagine a world where Chandler is innocent. But then the prosecutor stands up. He doesn't need to imagine. He has the facts. He paints a picture of two Chandlers. There is Chandler the son, the boy who played games, ate dinner with his parents, and smiled in family photos. And then there is Chandler the architect, the man who built a skyscraper of lies, the man who, when the foundation cracked, didn't try to fix it. He decided to burn the building down with everyone inside. The prosecutor looks at the jury and delivers the most powerful line of the trial. He didn't kill them because they were abusive. He didn't kill them for money. He killed them because they were inconvenient to his fantasy. Bart and Krista Halderson simply wanted their son to tell the truth, and for that, they paid with their lives. The jury leaves the room. Usually in a double murder trial, deliberations take days. Jurors argue. They review the evidence. They lose sleep. In the case of the SpaceX genius, the jury was gone for just 2 hours. That includes their lunch break. It wasn't a debate. It was a consensus. The evidence, the digital footprint, the broken glass, the saw blade, the lies, was overwhelming. They return to the courtroom. All rise. Chandler stands up. His face is still a blank mask. He looks like he is waiting for a bus, not a life sentence. The clerk reads the verdict.
On the count of first-degree intentional homicide, guilty. On the count of desecration of remains, guilty. On the count of hiding a corpse, guilty.
Count after count. Guilty. 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 In the gallery, the family members of Bart and Krista are weeping. They are holding each other. The relief is physical. The monster has been caught. But look at Chandler. He blinks. He looks down at the table. He doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He doesn't look at his family to say, "I'm sorry." At that moment, the terrifying truth is confirmed. The prosecution was right. There is no one home inside Chandler Halderson. The SpaceX job wasn't the only thing that was fake. He was fake. Remember the beginning of this story? We talked about a young man who was desperate to avoid narcissistic injury. He was desperate to avoid the shame of being seen as a failure. He wanted to be the hero, the astronaut, the genius. He wanted everyone to look at him with awe. Well, he got his wish. The whole world is looking at him now. But they aren't looking at a genius. They are looking at a man who was so afraid of admitting he was a college dropout that he became a murderer instead. He tried to construct a perfect reality where he was important. In the end, the only reality he secured for himself is a 6-by-8-foot concrete cell. He will never go to space. He will never see Florida. Chandler Halderson wanted to control everything. Now, he will be told when to eat, when to sleep, and when to wake up for the rest of his natural life. The game is over. The house in Wisconsin is empty now. The fireplace has been cleaned, but the memories are stained forever. Bart and Krista Halderson are not just names in a police file. They were real people. Bart was a hardworking accountant who loved the Green Bay Packers. Krista was a kind soul who was always there for her children. They did everything right. They supported their son. They gave him a home. They gave him chances. And that was their tragedy. They loved him enough to ask for the truth. And in the mind of a pathological narcissist, asking for the truth is an act of war. This case haunts us because it feels so modern. It feels like a nightmare of the digital age. We live in a world of filters. We curate our lives on Instagram. We polish our resumes on LinkedIn. We all want to present the best version of ourselves. Chandler Halderson is the extreme, dark reflection of that desire. He is what happens when the filter becomes more important than the reality. He was so terrified of being ordinary that he became infamous. The next time you see a perfect life on a screen, a perfect job, a perfect trip, a perfect smile, remember this case. Remember that sometimes the brighter the screen, the darker the room behind it. And remember that the truth, no matter how painful, is the only thing that is real. Don't let the screen be your reality. This is Criminal Zugzwang, and this is the story of the SpaceX genius who never was. Stay safe, stay real, and I'll see you in the next investigation.